Another edition of the Ryan Show FM. I'm sitting down with the one and only Danique Liddell, who is fresh off a stint at covering Zuffa Boxing. A whole bunch of great fights that went down in Brooklyn. It's been a while since Danique has been here. Since she's been here, she's been hosting Game Mindset, a fighting chance, which you can check that out on New Solutions Network, which is now on. We have a brand new website, Danique, and also on our YouTube channel for New Solutions Network. She's interviewed some great fighters, including, of course, my dear friend Luke Kumo, and there's more in the pipeline. But let's get into this recent expedition that you took with my old friend Rick Tony and your sister into New York City to cover some of these latest fights. How was that latest trip, Danique?
You know what? That trip was actually a lot of fun. I've covered a lot of fights for different promotion companies. Zuffa, this is their first time in Brooklyn. I mean, not in Brooklyn. It's their first time in Madison Square Garden. And, it was actually a really, really great time. Zuffa, shout out to Dana White. Shout out to Zuffa. They treated the media very, very well. I actually did the entire fight week, more or less. They had like a cops and kids thing that I didn't do, but I did the media workout. They had like a UFC meet and greet. I breezed by that on my way home. And then the next day I did the weigh in, and then actually I did the fight. All of those days that I did, they were really good to us. I mean, they were extremely professional. I think it was the Victory Boxing Club that we went to for the weigh in. It was very, brand new boxing club. It was really nice gym. It was air conditioning, which a lot of boxing gyms aren't. And they gave us water when we came in, very professional. They started on time, ended on time. I mean, it was like really, really nice to have something so professional go down. And then at the actual fight, what I really liked about Zuffa is that they kind of kept the media all together. So we had like our own media room where we can sit there, we could watch the boxing match. Or we could watch the boxing match from the box seats that they gave us at the Madison Square Garden, and we could watch the boxing match live. And between each match, we actually went back to the media room and we interviewed the previous fighter,
That's
the
how.
winner of the previous
Okay,
fighter.
so let me give you a little breakdown here. If you don't know, now you know Dana White. This is his, I guess, first boxing promotion company since he thrived with UFC. I
Right.
believe so, right?
Zuffa Boxing.
Zuffa
Right.
Boxing. And
Mm-hmm.
covering UFC, that's how they do it. It's the exact same process when you're covering
Yeah.
UFC. I've went and covered a boxing match before and it was disorganized chaos. There's too many
Right.
cooks in the kitchen.
Right. And
Whereas like
with this, I felt like, yeah, it was such a difference. I really enjoyed it. Like I love to have all the media kind of move together, go out there, see what you want to do, and then come back. Like it was really a good time.
and it
It
creates
really was.
camaraderie between the journalists. When I was at the
Exactly.
UFC events back in the day covering them, after there usually be a party where everybody gets to connect because you're working together all day behind the scenes.
Right.
Whereas boxing, you're flying solo. It's every man for
Yeah.
himself. I actually had to sneak in at one point, even though I had not like a legit media pass. I was connected to the Deontay Wilder team when I went and did it, but I essentially
Okay.
had to sneak in. And like I said, disorganized chaos. Everybody's in there at once. Adrian Broner's getting kicked out, assaulting somebody was just a mess of a situation. Whereas Dana White, he holds it down with an iron fist. You're not
Oh
messing
my
around
God.
backstage.
He runs that thing like the military. And you know what? I really appreciate it. We got beverages, we got drinks, we got food. Like, it was great. Like, and the media room, I feel like the media room should have its own podcast because we were like betting, talking boxing, it was a lot of fun. I
That's a
really
great
enjoyed
idea.
it. And,
That's a great idea for a
shout out to Dana
podcast.
White. It was great. Shout out to my sister Deanna who covered with me. My uncle went with me, my uncle Reggie, and of course Rick from Fox Sports Radio. It was really like a lot of fun, and the team was great. I had somebody different with me every day. It was really great. I had a lot of fun. But shout out to Zuffa, shout out to Dana White. He did an awesome job, and he really took care of the media very well.
He always does. They always order food, and you'll see, Danique. I'm not sure if you ever want to cover something else, but I can, say you ever want to cover WNBA, you get a different experience. Even though it's Madison Square Garden, it's different promoters,
Right,
so you're going to get something different every time. And
right.
we're judging you guys for how.
Right, I know, and that's the thing. Like, they don't realize that, like, you got to treat the media good. Like, we're the ones who are coming back to like talk about your promotion. You don't want us to say that you didn't treat the media good and we had a horrible time. Like because the more we like your promotion, the more we'll come cover for you guys. We'll say positive things. So I really do think that out of all the boxing events that I've covered in the past, I do like the way Dana put together everything for the media. Now, when he came back and we had a chance to talk with him, he said that he rated the performance, like I think he said like a C, or he really wasn't happy with it, with everything that took place, like the whole production. But I thought it was really good. But he said that he had a lot of things to go back and comb through with his production team. But again, he's been doing UFC for so long that he probably wants his boxing Zuffa to run exactly like that. And he saw holes in, the production, but I thought it ran really well.
Now, I don't know if you know the answer to this, but are the
Mhm.
fighters under Zuffa making more money or less money? Because UFC is notoriously, holding back the money on a lot of their fighters, unless you get to the tippity top.
Well, right, exactly. Well, I know that the boxers that were recently signed, Berlanga and Hitchins, they were actually paid really well. Like I heard, like Berlanga was paid like I don't know, $5 or $10 million, something crazy like that. So and Connor Ben, he signed to Zuffa, and I heard he got paid like millions of dollars too. So I think he signed these boxers. Some people are saying that he just signed them so he can like will it like kind of bring in the other boxers. But I don't know. I mean, there's so much money to be made in boxing, and I don't really see them going to Zuffa if they're not going to be getting paid what they can get paid at Top Rank, PBC. Even MVP Promotions is paying people really well. And Eddie Hearns. So, I think that they're not going to not sign to Matchroom to sign to Zuffa if they're not getting paid well.
Well, I just got the bottom line. I did a little research, aka I asked my
Mhm.
AI, my chat GPT, which I know so many of you
He's
hate.
so funny with that.
But I know, everyone hates it. But you know what? You asked the right way, and it works. And what it says,
Right.
the bottom line is Zuffa Boxing appears willing to pay recognizable boxers considerably more than UFC fighters, but the enormous 15 million type deals are exceptional Saudi-backed super fights, not
Right.
the standard Zuffa salary. So it does not necessarily pay more. And like you
Okay.
said, Eddie Hearn publicly claimed that the offers were low.
Right. But you know what? Turkey Al Sheikh was actually in the building at this fight at Madison Square Garden, and Ra was on the promotion of this as well. So he promoted this fight. It was a mix with Zuffa. So who knows if he's going to be like promoting these fights with Zuffa, in conjunction to be able to make sure those persons are paid.
Well, I do want to ask you a little bit more about the fights that went down at Madison Square Garden. So I'm going to kind of leave it up to you here to give me the lowdown. We know the main event was Berlanga versus Butler, which
Yes.
ended in a seventh round TKO.
Yes.
But before we get to that, maybe you could tell us a little bit more about some of these other fights that I found that looked like they could be interesting. For instance, let's start with Richardson Hitchins
Uh-huh.
versus Ricardo Salas. If you could give us the
Right.
rundown in that unanimous decision in which Hitchins came out on top.
Right. So that match was actually really really good. I like Richardson Hitchins. I've watched him in the past, and I definitely feel like that he's a great boxer, and he's definitely someone who's climbing up in the ranks to become a household name. Absolutely. I mean, he looked sharp in his Zuffa debut. He earned the unanimous decision over Salas. He controlled the fight most of the time. From start to finish, actually, I felt like he controlled the fight. His footwork was really good. His jabs were amazing. He landed crisp shots. And I saw him like really working with the counter right hands a lot. He controlled and mixed the left hooks, the uppercuts, and the body shots. So I thought that he did a really, really good time on this fight. And you know what's crazy? At the end, he said, he turned around and he kind of showed Turkey Al Sheikh in the audience, and he's like, "Yo, I got to turn it up because Turkey's here." You know what I mean? So I got to make a good impression, which he really, really did, and he ended it in a unanimous decision. And I really look forward to seeing more of his matches because I thought that he did really well. And he did actually end up calling out Brian Norman, Devin Haney, and he also called out Ryan Garcia. Now, Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia already have matches that are supposed to take place, so I think that he would probably fight Brian Norman first. If he wants to like go right into a match and not kind of wait for their matches to be over and recover and all that stuff. which Brian Norman, that would be a good matchup for him. I at the press conference, I didn't get a chance to ask him because when I was at Shakur Stevenson's press conference a while back, a few months back, him and Keyshawn Davis got into like this major viral moment where they were going back and forth, and the numbers actually did really well on my page. But yeah, he was saying that he kicked Keyshawn, and that Keyshawn was dropped before and all this other stuff, and he wasn't dropped. So I would really like to see that match, take place too. But he didn't mention Keyshawn, and I was just wondering if he, would be interested in fighting Keyshawn Davis, because they got into that big, kind of controversial thing there at Madison Square Garden previously. But all in all, that was a great fight.
And you guys got to go to My Boxing POV on TikTok. I wish we could just play audio right now, but sift through. There's so much great content that she made. I like the behind the scenes content you did too, Danique.
Yeah.
Just a lot of fun. Now, I know I'm probably going to butcher this guy's name, but not Jalil Hackett. Jalil Hackett, who defeated Sergey Derachenko, is it?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Oh wow, I actually
Yeah.
got it. Okay, yeah,
Yeah, you're right.
all those extra letters that do they even really belong? But Jalil Hackett defeated Derachenko in a unanimous decision. Could you tell us more about that fight?
Yes, Jalil Hatchet. I was definitely looking forward to seeing that match because I have watched like a match or two of his before, and I thought that he was a good boxer. Another one who's really coming up in the ranks. But this was actually his toughest match yet. And then when I did ask him at the press conference, he 100% agreed, and he passed it. I mean, to me with flying colors. He outboxed this veteran opponent of his who was 20 years almost his senior. His speed, his ring IQ, it was just really impeccable. He earned a unanimous decision, and he put the middleweight division on notice. So, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing him. And, in this fight, he actually moved up to 160, and it looked good on him. So he fought at 154 before, I know, in the match that I saw, but it was hard for him to make weight. He was talking about that. So he said that he wanted to move up to 160, and in this match he did. And, it was a really good match. And the weight looked good on him. He looked like he was really controlling the match, and he was able to handle the weight. So I thought it was a great job.
So
Shout out
the
to him.
would you consider the main event a disappointment as Edgar Berlanga defeated Stephen Butler with a seventh round TKO?
No, not a disappointment at all. That event was actually really, really good. I loved it because Edgar Berlanga actually came back. He's coming off a loss from his last fight, and he's been off for a year, and he really came back in a masterclass style. Like, I really enjoyed that match a lot. I really, really did.
And how far do you think Berlanga is going to go at this point? What's his ceiling?
I think the sky's the limit with Berlanga, to tell you the truth. As long as he keeps working, he stays focused. I really think that he's definitely, going to become more than a household name, but like a top face in boxing, to tell you the truth. That match was really, really good. It was explosive. There was a lot of slugging back and forth. If you were looking for a match where you were just going to have two opponents going at each other, that's what you really wanted to see. It was really, really, really a good match. Berlanga improved a tremendous amount since the last time when he fought against Siraj, where he lost. He did get knocked down in the second round by Butler with a late shot. But in the middle rounds, he came back and he regained control of the fight, and he applied pressure. He landed a lot of body shots. He was really good in this match. He really was. And Butler, he really basically got beat up. He wouldn't go down. I feel like if Berlanga had a little bit more power, he would have been able to really like get the knockout earlier. But you know what I thought was really funny and interesting in this match is that the referee ended up getting knocked down, which the whole crowd was like, "What the hell happened?" Real quick. I didn't know if Berlanga knocked the referee down or what happened because it was so fast. But they both ended up going down in that seventh round, the referee and Butler. And it was
Wow.
really funny, but Berlanga ended up getting the TKO, and it was a great match, and it was a really great comeback. Berlanga's from Brooklyn. It's Madison Square Garden. He's redeeming himself. The Knicks just won. I was really satisfied with that match, and I definitely want to see more from him. At the end of his match and during the press conference, he did call out Mungia, so that's who he wants to fight next, and he wants to make that match happen in London, which I think would be really good, and we'd love to cover it, of course. And he also called out Connor Ben, Jamal Charlo, Caleb Plant. if he's still active. I haven't seen really Caleb Plant do much, but yeah, I mean, whoever any one of those fights would be a really good match for Edgar Berlanga.
And moving forward for Zuffa Boxing, is there going to be a fighter that's going to put them over the top, or is it already inevitable given that Dana White is behind the promotion?
You know what? Dana White actually talked about how he was 2 years ahead of schedule as where he thought he was actually supposed to be. So, they've only been out, I think, like 6, 8 months, something like that. And, he said that he's 2 years ahead of schedule. And look, we're already where they're at, like signing these really, really big acts. I mean, Shakur Stevenson is signed to him now. He's like a huge name in boxing. This was a great match that he just put on. I think Dana White is with Zuffa Boxing is gonna really become a top promoter in the boxing industry, especially putting on matches that he did and doing good matchmaking and bringing in the stars of boxing.
And moving forward, Danique, in terms of Zuffa, do you see it like revolutionizing boxing in any way, like the way UFC revolutionized MMA? I know it wasn't really that mainstream, but MMA was going on forever. Do you think that they have the influence, power, and I guess like just overall having Dana White behind that organization? Do you think it really could become the number one promotion in boxing?
I think that it could become the number one promotion. And what Dana has on his side is that he has the youth on his side. A lot of people watch UFC and don't watch boxing. So I think with Dana White being a UFC giant, being like the face of UFC, being UFC period, I think that he could bring that audience into boxing. And I think that would ultimately give boxing like the boost that it needs to continue to be like a household sport again.
Looking forward to seeing that happen because you know what? Everybody, including our friend Radio Raheem, is such a fan of the celebrity boxing. And I enjoy it. But I got to say, I miss me some real serious fighters. When it was respected,
Absolutely.
when it wasn't, just the whole idea of celebrities boxing is just kind of silly in itself. But at the same time, I also understand the entertainment value. And behind the scenes, you're going to be excited because we're actually putting something together. We have to apply for a permit right here in Watermill. Not sure if we're going to get shut down. We might just call it Great Ape Promotions, Great Yellow Ape Promotions out there. But no joke, we had the guys. I don't want to like give away the name of the company that came out here to check it out, just in case. But we
Uh-huh.
actually specked out the outside, and we might actually throw the first ever MMA event out in the Hamptons,
Listen,
outside, televised, and you'll be there covering it.
I am all in. I would love to cover it. I cover boxing, I've lightly covered MMA and UFC. So I'm all down for that. I love it. I absolutely love it. I hope everything goes well with that and we're gonna have major coverage on that event.
So there was another fight, Unique, that we had yet to talk about, the Sorenko versus Wallen fight, in which Vladislav Sorenko, hopefully I'm saying his Russian name right,
Sounds
knocked
about
out
right.
Otto Wallen in round 10. It went almost all the way. Could you tell us more about that
Yeah,
gem of
so
a fight?
that was another slugger match. They were going back and forth crazy. It was one of the earlier matches, and it was a really good match, very explosive. Another one, and it ended with the KO of the night in the most dramatic fashion. I mean, Wallen literally was just on the canvas and like wouldn't get up. Like I was like, "Damn, is he okay?" Like that was a crazy, crazy, crazy thing
Wow.
to see. Yeah, it was a
And no,
brutal
he's not.
finish.
He's
It was
not
probably
okay.
the most brutal. It was actually the most brutal finish on the card. And it was a very explosive match as well. And when he came back into the media room, he said that he actually, when was asked about what he felt about the knockout, he said that he was actually felt bad for a while. And he went over and he wanted to kind of make sure that he was okay because at the end of the day, he's like, it's just a job, it's just a boxing match, and I don't want to hurt him. I want to make sure that he's okay. So he definitely did feel bad for what he did, like, by knocking him out like that. But it was a really, really explosive match. And it was very shocking for the crowd. The crowd loved it. The crowd went crazy. And, yeah, shout out to him because that was definitely the highlight match of the night, as far as like as far as the KO is concerned.
Barbaric. It's sick and it's sad, but there ain't nothing like a knockout. It's just something deep within us that really likes violence.
I
All of
know
us
that just
humans, let's
loves
not
it.
deny it. You see, because look, we're all related to primates. We see the way they act. They get all hyped up, hoo, 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 get crazy. Dogs, they bark and they howl like a pack of dogs, right?
You
I
know
went and
what?
I saw Odyssey last night,
Oh,
and
how was it?
it reminded me of just how violent humans are and were, whether it be them discussing it in literature, what we put on cinema, and just how we lived back in the day. I don't know if we were actually out killing giants, although, don't ask me after I smoke a little bit. I might believe in giants, but we'll get into that another time. But that being said, man, what a despicable thing that we all love seeing those knockouts. But yeah, hopefully he recovers, because that's no joke.
Definitely.
When you get knocked out like that, it's not
And
good
he
for
was
your brain.
sleeping. He was sleeping, like if
Oof,
anybody looks at those highlights, he was definitely sleeping. And I always say, like, this is gladiator. It's a gladiator sport. And
exactly.
we're the crowd. We are the crowd. And you know what the crazy thing is? The crowd is fickle. You know what I mean? Like, some
Yeah.
days we love you, some days we hate you. You know what I mean? I try to be like, as on the I try to be, it's my boxing point of view. I try to be as, liberal as I can. I'm also a Libra, so I always try to see both sides of the fence, but I definitely do have my favorites. So that's one thing. And I always try to just see the other person, like, well, maybe it went this way because of XYZ, like, I don't try to be
Yeah.
like so mean, but I'm absolutely the crowd, and the mob is fickle. So it is
Wow.
what
You
it is,
don't meet a lot of ladies like that, listeners out there. And you should go to My Boxing POV to get in the DMs of somebody who clearly doesn't want conflict. Shouts to you, Danique. And everybody go to My Boxing Point of View. I can't stress enough. I got to keep saying it throughout the show, because that's where the great Danique Liddell content lies. It's one thing for her to be on the radio and recap these things, but she's right there on the spot at MSG, speaking to all of these boxers, getting content as it happens on the spot and putting it out on TikTok. So go check out My Boxing POV. If you're a
Yes,
real boxing
yes.
fan, you'll enjoy it. And then you get to kind of put the visuals to what we're talking about as well.
Right, right. So you can get, what's going on at the post conference, who's going to be the call outs, what are the boxing matches that are coming up, the potential matches, what's the buchinches or what's the gossip, going on in
Wait,
the
what did you say? The
industry.
borchiches? How do you
The
say it?
buchinches.
The
Yes,
borchiches, man. Okay,
gossip.
say. Let's start saying
What's
that.
the buchinches going on in the boxing industry? And it's just it's a great place. We like to be all inclusive at My Boxing POV. And it's really some great comments. You got like a lot of arguments going on in the comments, people's opinions. It's great. It's a great TikTok channel.
We're going to go to a quick break and talk about the final two fights that went down. This is also going to appear on Borchiches, aka What's Going on Fox Sports Rochester. You're listening to the Ryan Show FM, Game Mindset, and of course, My Boxing POV. Danique Liddell in the
That's
building, and
right.
we shall return.